Hey there, I'm Dr. Carr, and I'm here to help you make smarter choices to live a healthier life. So, what if I told you the way you're trying to fix your sleep is actually making it worse? So, a lot of people take things like magnesium or melatonin or other sleep aids, including prescription medications, and they think that they're improving their sleep. But the reality is, a lot of people use these sleep aids completely wrong, and some of them don't work the way that you think they do. So, a good analogy I like to think about when it comes to sleep is basically your brain is like a stereo system that's playing music all day long. So at nighttime, you want to, turn that music down. You want it to kind of slowly fade out. And the way that sleep aids work is basically by turning the volume down. Now, some of them do this slowly. Some of them just hit mute. Some of them pull the cord. And with others, at least in some of the newer classes of sleep aids, they basically just hit pause. So today we're breaking down the science behind sleep aids. This is everything from natural compounds, things like GABA or melatonin or magnesium. Some of the other prescription sleep aids you've heard about, things like Ambien and trazodone, as well as this newer class of sleep aids that are called DORAs. And if you've never heard of those, don't worry. Hopefully by the end, you'll understand why I think this could be one of the smartest classes of sleep medication yet. So going back to my analogy from the beginning, basically, again, your brain is like this stereo, and you've got music playing all day long. And so as we're approaching sleep naturally, our body really works to help kind of slowly turn that volume down. And while some natural sleep aids support this, there's other medications and things you can take that don't support it in such a natural way. So first, let's talk about these more natural sleep aids. And these are these over-the-counter supplements and things that you can generally find pretty regularly that help to slowly turn the volume down. So amongst those, the kind of the first group I want to approach is magnesium, L-theanine, as well as GABA. So as far as magnesium is concerned, besides being a central nervous system relaxant, it's also a good muscle relaxant as well. With L-theanine, it helps really to block mental distractions. So think of it kind of like noise canceling headphones. And then lastly, GABA is effectively your brain's on-off switch. The big problem is that a lot of GABA supplements simply do not cross the blood-brain barrier. Now, in terms of melatonin, basically it's like setting a timer for the music to slowly fade out. And so it doesn't just knock you out, but it does tell your brain when it's time to go to sleep. And because that's the case, it works really well in people who have things like jet lag or like any kind of shift work or needing to reset their circadian rhythm. But one big common mistake that patients think is, well, if a little bit is good, it's safe, it's over the counter, I'll take an extra couple gummies. And unfortunately, what they found is, above a certain dose and really kind of 3 milligrams being the maximum, it actually can disrupt the natural production of melatonin in your body. And lastly, ashwagandha or valerian root. And this is basically like softening the music over time. So ashwagandha does this by lowering cortisol or stress hormone levels, which can help with relaxation. And with valerian root, it kind of acts like a mild sedative. So it can cause some grogginess, which is just something you need to be aware of. So these supplements work to slowly turn the music. So these supplements work to slowly help your body, turn the music down. But what happens if you suddenly shut the music off? Now with Ambien and the Z drugs, it's effectively like forcing your brain to unconsciousness, which means that you're likely not going to get good restorative deep sleep. Additionally, it can cause problems like sleepwalking, memory loss, as well as dependency. And with benzodiazepines, things like Valium or Xanax, it's basically like unplugging the speakers. It completely shuts down the brain activity. The big problem is that it can lead to things like dependence as well as rebound insomnia once you go off the medication. Additionally, it alters your GABA receptors in the long term, and this over time can make natural sleep much harder. So while these medications may knock you out, that doesn't necessarily translate into better sleep. But what if I were to tell you about another class of medications that rather than pushing mute, it's more like pushing pause until you're ready to wake up? So the next class of medications I want to discuss, and I mentioned them earlier in the introduction, are these DORAs. Again, this is more similar to pushing pause as opposed to mute. So while with a lot of the other prescription medications, you're effectively muting things, these DORAs basically are like pushing pause on your brain's wakefulness signals. And so it really helps you to stay asleep longer as opposed to just knocking you out. Now, currently there are 3 medications in this DORA class that have been approved by the FDA for use in insomnia. And those are Belsomra, Dayvigo, and Qvivic. But there are some downsides to these medications. First thing, they can cause grogginess, especially if they're not dosed properly. Additionally, they tend to be more expensive, and so a lot of insurances may not cover the cost of the medication. And lastly, because they're so new, we just don't really know about the long-term side effects. And so what I would say is, if you're someone who's struggled with sleep and hasn't found that Ambien or melatonin are really effective, DORAs may definitely be a better option. And so what I would say is, if you're someone who's suffered with insomnia, you haven't really found melatonin or the side effects from Ambien to be very effective, DORAs definitely may be a better option. Just again, keep in mind, these are really new medications, and so we just don't know about the side effects yet. So if you're someone who's really struggled with insomnia and difficulty sleeping, and maybe you didn't really tolerate Ambien that well, or it left you feeling groggy, and melatonin wasn't really effective, the DORAs definitely may be a better option for you. It looks to be a smarter choice, but it still could be too soon to tell, especially as we think about long-term health impacts. Now let's talk about alcohol. The way I like to think about alcohol is it's basically like turning the volume down, but then blasting the stereo at 3 a.m. Yes, you will fall asleep, but you have to understand, this isn't going to be really restful sleep. It decreases your REM sleep, which is that part of the sleep you really need, especially in the second half of the night, that helps with kind of feeling overall, restored. Additionally, it can lead to wake-ups in the second half of the night. It also interferes with GABA and glutamate levels, which again makes the sleep worse. And lastly, it depletes magnesium, which, as we discussed earlier, plays an important role in rest and relaxation. And so, that 3 a.m. wake up that you get after you've, gone to bed after a night of drinking is basically like that stereo volume suddenly getting turned up to 10. So what are my key takeaways and recommendations? Firstly, if you're looking to fall asleep naturally, I would be looking at things like magnesium plus L-theanine. And let's say you're someone who is perhaps concerned about suffering jet lag, or you're doing some travel or international travel, or disruptions to your circadian rhythm, or maybe you work night shifts, melatonin may be a better option. And if you're struggling with stress or stress-related insomnia, then ashwagandha and valerian root. But lastly, if you do need, let's say none of these things are working and you want something prescription-based, I would definitely recommend looking into this DORA class of medications and something that you could bring up with your physician. So finally, it comes down to figuring out what you're looking for. Are you looking to slowly turn the volume down? Are you looking to hit pause? Are you looking to hit mute? Understanding how these medications work can really go a long way towards that healthy restorative sleep. Again, I'm Dr. Carr. I'm here to help you make smarter choices to live a healthier life. If you found this content helpful, please share it with someone else, or someone else who maybe is having sleep issues, as well as hit like and subscribe. Thank you.